Hello, lovely listeners.
We are your boyfriend twins,
We're the same.
but we're different. Also, we are not actually boyfriends.
Yeah, and we're not actually related either.
We're just two mentally unwell men with mustaches that like other men, but we're on like opposite ends of the mental health spectrum where Kevin is depression and I'm anxiety. So we encompass a lot of different cultures together.
Yeah, what a fantastic pitch. You're just
Thank
really
you.
great at lifting up your friends, aren't you?
No, I think transparency with mental illness is going to bring us forward in this world.
Well, speaking of
Are you on
lifting
any
up your friends,
medications?
how dare you? Also,
Okay,
no.
I'm
I
just
did take
kidding.
an allergy pill the other day, though.
Okay, well, I'm going to need one when I meet you in person finally. Speaking of lifting up our friends, guys, I'm so excited. We have a very special guest today. This person is not only an incredible online creator who I've been following for years, but is also a really dear friend of mine. We have Nikita Dump Truck here. Nikita, do you want to say hi?
Woo! Hello. I'm happy to be a
So,
friend twin today, as you can
You
yes,
look
see.
so good.
Thank you.
for those of you who are wondering, I know a lot of people will be wondering, is that your real mustache? Is that natural facial hair?
It is, yeah. As a millennial, I have a mustache that naturally grows like this.
That's crazy. Most people
And
have theirs on the back of their finger, but yours just is right on your face. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
exactly. I'm
yeah,
that committed to the cause. I was like, this is not going to be forever, but this will.
no. There you go. We actually had a lot of Gen Zers reveal themselves in the comments when I said no Gen Zs watch our podcast. So to the younger Gen Zs watching this, it was like a whole thing when we were younger, because all three of us are actually the same age group. When we were younger, we're like people would put a mustache on their finger, put it here, and like put a lot of filters on it, and it would be on Tumblr, and it would have like a quote that would be like something about like swag and like real
Well,
life. You know what I mean?
It was very I'm not like other girls. From
Yeah.
like gays to like every demographic under the sun in like 2013.
Every minority demographic, we were all like, we're the model minority. We're
Absolutely.
fun and swag.
Well, I was just gonna say, I remember it being a lot of white people and a lot of, for some reason, North American Filipinos who like owned that trend. The like obey hats in that millennial era. Okay,
For sure.
so
for sure.
I'm gonna start by describing my week as a sex position, and I'm really
Cheers.
excited. So guys, this week I've been hitting. I'm gonna sound like such a gymber. I'm so excited. Okay, I've been hitting a lot of PRs at the gym, and like I've been doing very well. And I was even telling Kevin about it because Kevin's a personal trainer, and I was telling him about how much more engaged I am at the gym, and like how I'm really like not just going there to lift, but also like beat my records from last week. And my arms are getting more swollen. My triceps look really good, and so my sex position is being sore. That's my
Is that
whole
a position or is it just a thing?
So like
Babe,
we don't really
we're
actually
just
do
gonna walk right
positions.
past it. We're not gonna.
We
It's
okay,
best
but
not to
okay.
ask.
Before you try to act all cool, Kevin, because Nikita's here and you admire her. Nikita, we never actually do real positions. It's always like some stupid shit. Like my position could be me crying while watching my ex get married. You know what I mean?
We're-
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's asking you to pick something out of the Karma Sutra, but we do want positions.
The
like if
Karma
your body could
Sutra?
be in any. Sure.
Kama Sutra.
Oh, please. I'm American. I'm gonna pronounce every word wrong, and I'm gonna do it proudly. Don't hold that over me.
Trying to shame you, it's not working.
Well, listen, I was wrong, and so now I just have to blast through with that
Yeah.
sentence. Otherwise, I look like a fool. So,
That's true.
So true. That's the American way.
yeah.
Okay, Kevin. How I want to hear about your week. As
Your
a
sex position is that you're sore? Work. Slay. Well, my sex position is that I sometimes think about philosophy. Yeah.
Why? What was your week?
Yeah, well, sometimes I think about philosophy. So, therefore, my sex position is thinking about philosophy.
Okay, fine. Let me try that again. My sex position is having really, really physically demanding sex. And the next day, my muscles are very sore, but in a very good way, in a
There we
very
go.
satisfying way.
There
That is
we
my sex
go.
position.
You just gotta,
Yes.
you gotta pull it out of him like some podcasting anal beads. Just slowly get it out of there.
Kevin,
well,
you're not supposed to expose our private life on here.
if I was gonna have a sex position for this week, okay, I've been more ambitious sexually this week, which is like I got involved with like 2 people instead of 0. So I think I would just be. I'm laying on my back, ready for suitors to come. That works
Okay,
both
wow.
figuratively and literally. Also,
Sorry.
The cum is the literal and figurative part.
Oh, gotcha.
Who are you waiting for?
Oh, someone to do all the work for me. Like
Oh, that's
in my most
It's like the podcast.
Yes, yes. In my most toxic, wishful thinking, I think I want someone to come along, see me only sometimes, and just provide everything for me while I lay there and occasionally give them attention.
There's nothing wrong with being a pillow princess, sexually
Yeah.
or economically.
Ooh, economically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Nikita, I need to hear what your week would be like as a sex position.
Okay, my week as a sex position would probably be a tired threesome where it's like, this is objectively very sexy, but I'm just not really into it. Like, okay,
Yeah.
let me say that. Not into it in a bad way, but but as I see what's going on and I think it's really cool, but I'm just tired. But y'all
I
have fun.
feel you.
I
I
love
feel
Yeah.
you
I love what's
so
going on in
hard.
front of me. I just overcommitted a lot this week.
Yeah.
I had something going on every single day of this week, and I'm just like, damn, what does my house look like at sunset? I don't even know anymore.
I'm
Well,
so
at
flattered.
least we
If I
can-
overcommit, I just cancel. So the fact that you're here is just a huge compliment to my ego. Thank you.
Oh no, I don't have to leave my house for this, so this is fine.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
How? So was it stuff that was actually cool because like the threesome in
it was
theory
really
is sexy?
cool. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got to go to cool events. I got to meet some cool
Yeah.
people. I had a photo shoot. No, that's what I'm saying. Like being in a threesome that's like objectively hot. You're with hot people, but you're like, I could use a nap.
Yeah. I actually saw your photo shoot video. It was so hot. I shared it and I wrote, "Oh my god, my friend's so
Holy
hot
shit.
because you looked so good. You looked
Yeah,
so good."
dude. Oh my
Thanks.
god.
It was insane. Also, Kevin, I don't know. Have you ever been in a threesome? I've been in one threesome and I wasn't really jiving with it. So I just told him to start kissing. I was like, yeah, it turns me
Yeah.
on. Just like,
I do that. I do that too when I need a
you
break.
do that too? Yeah. I'm
You
like,
guys go.
you
I want
guys,
to watch you.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really into watching, but really I was like, oh, you're both kind of weird looking and your vibes are off. Sorry.
I like a threesome. The problem is that like you never know if you're going to get people who are emotionally on the same page as you, and that's always really frustrating when like one person is like, yeah, I kind of want to, and the other person's like, this is gonna fix our relationship because now we're finally open, but it doesn't count because both of us are here. Like
Oh.
it's very easy to get trapped in someone's emotional game when they actually just want to break up and you're invited to that threesome. That's the experience I have a lot. However, in the last like 2 years, I haven't run into that at all. Every threesome I've been involved in has been like very evenly balanced.
Lovely.
Yeah. I take a sip of my tea and I say, pip, pip, how wonderful. Mm.
Yeah.
How would
There you
you
go.
rate the sexual experience from
Yeah.
lovely
I
to
hold up my
quite lovely?
I hold up my iPad and there's a tip bar on there and be like, what are we doing? I just like watch them choose the custom tip and I'm like, sign here. Do you want a text? Thank you.
The reason I loved your content when when I first discovered you on the internet many years ago, was how like this kind of reclamation of quote unquote bimbo culture. And I know you and I talked extensively about it and like the intricacies and layers of it again when we hung out in New York. But I mean, I'd love to hear you talk about it if that's something you're comfortable doing. I mean, I think it's so cool, like your whole brand and the way you've kind of used it to be so educational and informative. Like, what is that? Like,
I think I've always really been into fun facts. And I grew up like with a dad who was just the smartest person alive. Like he can do calculations in his head like without using a calculator, and he just knows the capital of every single country. And when we were growing up, like when we would go in the long car ride, my dad would be like, "Okay, we're playing the geography game," and then just like in a game that would have us needing to know stuff. And I just like always really enjoyed that. And I guess I like suppressed that side of my personality because I was like, okay, either you can know the capital of Ouagadougou or you can be a fun flirty girl who wears pink and curls her hair. Like I think that like femininity, it's kind of seen as you can only do that, but you can't do that, and something that requires intelligence. So I guess I just like, kind of played into what I was meant to be, like as a feminine girl. But then around the time I started doing TikToks, I started like getting back into the news and started like explaining things how, I would explain them to my friends at a bar, and it just like really connected with people. And yeah, it's been really, really awesome to get to be both sides of that, of me.
I love that. I even told Kevin this. I was like, something that caught me by surprise in the best way possible. Again, when I finally met you, was I was like, oh, Nikita isn't like doing a huge exaggerated bit in her videos. Yes, it's like played up for comic effect a little bit, but like
Yeah.
that's your vibe in real life. You're very effeminate. You love dressing up. You
Yeah.
have very like quote unquote stereotypically feminine mannerisms. And I
Yeah.
even told you, I was like, that adds so much for me. I was like, oh, this makes it even more meaningful because Nikita's saying that this is how she carries herself. It isn't like somebody who's like, all right, I'm going to put on this caricature and like talk about how women act like this. But like, you're literally that. Like, that is literally you. You're just, your whole point is that that is actually you and you can be all those things, right?
The funniest thing is when people are like, drop the act, stop talking like that. I'm like, I always talk like this.
Yeah.
I think your content is so impressive, not just because it's like cleverly done and good, but like there's a difference between education and commentary. And I feel like it's very easy just to comment on something. It's very easy to go through the news and be like, bad, good, bad. This is what I think. This is my perspective. But you focus on education, and that's so rare. It's the what is it, like the pocket reports, under the table news. I'm like, to focus more on like, let me teach you something and help you understand, rather than just like waka waka, this is what's happening. There's a huge difference. I think it's so impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I've always been like a fan of people coming to their own conclusions on things. Don't get me wrong, I definitely have my waka waka.
We all do. We all waka waka sometimes.
Yeah.
So Nikita, you recently made this really amazing reel that was talking about how JLo's global cultural impact was so wide and powerful that she literally led to Google Images being created. And then you talked about how, like, fast forward to now, she had to cancel her whole tour because of poor ticket sales.
Yeah.
What do you think, like how does that happen cultural impact wise? Like, I want to know your take on this as a woman who is culturally impactful.
Well, I've always said that women have invented the internet. Like, it wouldn't exist without them. For example, the JLo thing, like when she wore that dress to the Grammys, the search for that particular dress, like, was the most popular search thing on Google, and Google was like, oh wait, people want pictures, they don't want just links and text, and like that led to their invention of Google Images. And similarly, Janet Jackson, when people wanted to, like when Justin Timberlake caused the whole nip slip and that faux pas, and people, I guess, were like so interested in seeing her and seeing that. And obviously, like, the intentions were kind of bad, but she led to YouTube being invented. Like, people who missed it were like, we don't ever want to miss out on a baddie ever again. So
if anyone slips their nip, I will be there to watch.
I will, exactly. And that, YouTube literally came about because people wanted to see boobs. So I think, oh God, where was I going with that? Because I could talk about that forever.
No.
Yeah, so obviously JLo did have a very big cultural impact, but at the same time, when it comes to JLo, I think there's two things going on there. One, she's definitely maybe struggling a bit to connect to today's audience and what they want. And it's not just her, there's multiple people who, the trends change so fast on the internet. Like, what's cool today is like next week is not going to be cool. Like, whatever meme we're laughing at today, it's going to be cringe next week. So it is really hard to keep up with that, especially if someone who's been in the limelight for so long. And then I think the other thing that's going on is just Live Nation and Ticketmaster in general, and their monopoly and their price gouging. And people don't necessarily want to spend a ton of money on even their favorite artists right now. Like, even the artists that we love are struggling with ticket sales. So I think both of those things are maybe not necessarily JLo's doing, but she was affected by them.
Yeah,
totally.
Damn.
Yeah. But it is hard to keep up with the culture. Y'all would know. Y'all are online.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, chronically online. Bold letters above my forehead.
Well, like, we were also talking about how, like, celebrity culture has changed so much, whereas now people want to be so personally in the lives of these famous people, whereas
Yes.
before they liked the wall between them, right? It made them mysterious. But now people are like, no, like make a Twitter, make an Instagram, like post on your stories. Like you see all these celebrities making TikToks, and you can tell their managers force them to make it, and they're like not good
Oh
at
my
it.
gosh. So
Which is,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
which
which
is
I think it'll
no,
come back. The pendulum always swings, and I think we'll
yeah,
come back to an era of privacy.
yeah, I
The
agree.
creator that I follow, Coco Moco, who always
Coco
talks about
Moco.
Gen Alpha being the most private generation potentially because they've seen too much of everyone, and now
Yeah.
they're a little bit icked out and want to keep some things to themselves.
Yes, I love Coco Moco, and her opinions are always
Yeah,
so insightful. I love it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I love it.
totally.
I needed to do a video on what dating will look like because, just for
Yeah.
future reference, because I feel like we're already seeing so much change, even if you compare now to before. I mean, I feel like I don't know if this is relatable at all, but like obviously we have the apps, right? People are using all of them: Bumble, Hinge, Tinder, Grinder, Scruff, everything. It also feels like it's so difficult to meet people in real life. My
Mhm.
first question actually is, do you agree with that take?
I yes and no.
Yeah.
It can. There's definitely space. So I live in New York, so I'm a little bit privileged when I say that I can just really walk out at any day of the week and meet people if that's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that if you live in a bigger city, there's a lot more opportunity for you. And me as a queer person and like as a femme queer person, I have to talk to people. I have to initiate conversations because nobody clocks me as queer, especially like other women that I'm into. So I'm always the one that has to like initiate and meet people and say something.
That's
So
so wild because you're so
yeah.
gay. I
Oh,
told you
that's
this
so
recently. I
nice.
was like,
Thank you.
you're
That is
so gay. Like,
so.
nothing about you looks straight. Like, are they good?
I know, especially this mustache. This is what I.
Especially the mustache. But, like, I told you this. I was like, what? Like, what? You don't look straight at all.
That's so nice. I I wish you could shout that. Can we go to a gay bar and just say those words exactly all the time, just like on repeat?
No, like literally, like even when we went out, I remember I was like, wow, she gives such like hyper femme queer woman who like probably likes to peg men, maybe, but that's a whole other conversation we can
I'm
get
gonna
into.
be
I don't
honest,
know,
Tala.
maybe
I
that's a lot.
think you're out of your depth a little bit because you also said that I am like perfectly straight passing, and I don't know if you
I'd
have.
say you're perfectly straight fat passing.
We've had this conversation like on the pod before. I think that you enter a mindset with too much kindness. I think you need to remember that like most people, unfortunately, in this society, hear like a gay woman and think like literally holding an axe, they're about to chop down wood and go live in a forest for the rest of their life.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like
So not like people
you
who
are
are online enough to the subcultures.
yeah, like you are actually entering from the correct space where you're like, let me see this person as an individual first and then make, any assumptions that come to mind naturally. But
I
most people don't
guess.
operate that way.
But they're also like online
Most.
like I guess if you're online enough, you like know all the like different queer stereotypes and like the different subcultures. But then I guess what you're saying is that everyone doesn't, and they're like, "Oh, gay woman
It
must
depends on
be
the
masked
circle you're
always."
in. It really depends because if you
Yeah,
see a bunch
true.
of high presenting femme lesbians, it's more
Mm,
acceptable. It's easier to recognize those things in the wild, Versus
mm,
if you are just surrounding yourself with content of like Paris Hilton doing a Carl's Jr. commercial in a bikini, then your idea of
mm,
what womanhood is very, very limited. So it
mm.
depends. It depends on like where you're entering from.
So okay, so then actually on that note, Nikita, so you date men as well, is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I
I'm
did
so
it.
so,
sorry.
yeah, first of all, condolences. Second of all, do you find that like being so like open and like embracing your feminine side so deeply is something that ever almost either threatens or makes men feel uncomfortable? Like, has that ever been something in your experience?
I mean, definitely. I do like a lot of microfeminisms in my life too, so I think that
Mm,
is something. But yeah, I think that men are not really used to so much feminine. I think that a lot of straight women and maybe some bi women, not all, but some, are going to mold their personality a little bit to be a little more masculine, have a little bit
mm,
more like interests that guys like, or sometimes it's genuine but sometimes it's really just like becoming more palatable to men
mm,
because obviously
mm.
men just want to fuck men.
They really
So
Yeah.
I
do.
me just like kind of walking in a lot of pink, talking the way I do, saying with my whole chest that I think Teenage Dream by Katy Perry is the best song ever written. I think that really kind of pisses a lot of men off in a sense that, like, why are you so strong about your conviction? Like, feminine interests have always been the backseat, or like they've been seen as like, oh, that's a girly thing, and like not the norm, not mainstream. So I don't know. Yeah, me kind of walking in with my clit swinging and saying that the way is the way that I am, and yeah, so I think it definitely does like intimidate.
Absolutely. Well, it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Stephanie Meyer, where she's talking in an interview about like how she wrote Edward, and
Yeah.
she says something about how women understand the male perspective because they're constantly reading the male perspective,
Yes.
either like through their mannerisms,
Yeah.
through their what they write, through the media that they make, versus men don't often read feminine perspective. So there's this disconnect where women kind of have to, based on the society they're in, understand and learn what men are going to do and how they're going to do it, versus men, they don't spend that time studying the opposite side of them, so they will often look at something different and be like, that's weird, that's not correct, you're not doing it right.
I feel like, speaking of like apps and cultural shifts, we also have dating apps, right? Which, again, there's this whole conversation now about like, are people able to meet other people organically? Are dating apps taking the place of actual interactions? I mean, I'm curious about your take. My take is that I think there is a role that dating apps are playing in people being less social or like meeting people organically. I do also want to say that I think it's a cop out because there are still clubs, there are still events, there are still cafes. I think a lot of us are just scared to approach people and we want to blame dating apps. And I'm talking about myself. You think I will ever approach a man? No, it doesn't matter if I have the biggest crush on them. I'm terrified. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm curious about your take. How much of that do you think is actually because of apps, or how much of that is because you think we're just becoming more antisocial, also as a result of apps, but for a different reason?
I think you're right in the sense that, like, yeah, we are kind of scared to approach people, but you have to. I like definitely am lucky living in New York City, and there's a lot of events that I can go to at any time of the week, any day of the week, and meet people that I'm potentially interested in. I do think that apps kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And it's a lot more vulnerable and naked to like be your whole self and approaching someone. You know, you can't really catfish like you can on the apps. So
No.
yeah, I get that that's scary. And like me, especially as a queer woman who looks very straight, I don't know why I have this amazing mustache. Very
You have the septum ring.
and a septum ring. Which I got the septum ring just so people would clock me as gay. And guess what? It still doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as
Fuck.
a queer woman, I have to approach people because I just don't think that, you know, they'll approach me. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, kind of like riding a bike where the more you do it, the easier it gets. But that being said,
Yeah.
I am a lot more cocky approaching men. Like if I approach a hot guy, I'm just like, so my place when? And if he says no, then I'm missed out. You're stupid. Whereas if I approach a woman, it's a lot more scarier. And if she says no, I'm like, you're right. I'm a terrible person.
Because women have better opinions. Women have better opinions.
Yeah.
If a woman denies me, this is the, like, I will die on this hill. Like, if a man thinks what I do is cool, I take that with a grain of salt, because it's like, I've seen what I look like. I'm sure that you like, I get it. I'm sure there's like another layer of interest that you have going on here. But also, if like a lesbian gives me attention, I'm like, I've made it, I've done it, because what do you have to benefit from this? Like, what could you possibly getting out of this other than my thoughts? Thank you so much. Like, that is the ultimate notification of goodness to me. Like, that's the indication of success, lesbian approval.
So it's literally,
you know,
when I step out of the house and it's mostly men who are looking at me, I'm like, oh, I gotta go back and change.
I think one of my favorite, most validating comments I'd ever seen was, it was someone tweeted about me. It was I believe it was a woman that said, Taha Lexi is the only cis man I will ever like. I love that man's little Sigma face. And I was like, yeah, that's knowing that it came from a woman. I know, Kevin. I know. It's so real. It's so real.
You are
I love it.
so good at taking jokes.
Oh, it's great. It's fuck you, Nikita. It was not a joke. It was a sincere comment. Okay, what do you mean it was a joke?
Do you know
She
what
was
Sigma
telling
means?
me that she was saying that I signal. I know that I know what it means, but she meant it in a different way.
Fair enough.
She was
Cheers.
she
That's
was
the
trying to
delusion I
say that
aspire
I'm
to.
warm and kind. Okay, you need to be delusional. Okay, I will also say that Nikita did once tell me something really nice over text, and I treasure it. Nikita said that she was talking about how she doesn't want a son, and then realized that she would want a son if he was like me.
Yeah.
You said that. Were you drunk when you said that, or did you mean that? Okay,
I did say, yeah.
Yeah, I love you. Thank you.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Okay, I want to go back to the septum ring thing and how like so many things that we previously would have kind of thought were queer are now being like thieved by the straights. Like one thing I always talk to my friends about is these straight cis men that wear nail polish. And I'm like, good, gender expression is great, do whatever you want, but these men will wear nail polish and it'll be a signal to cis women that, oh, I'm not like other men, I'm a feminist, I'm warm, I'm like blah, blah, blah. And then these nail polished cis men will then gaslight and manipulate the women just like the non-nail polished men. And it's the equivalent of things like when men claim to be a golden retriever men don't know they're golden retrievers. And when men claim to be like innocent little himbos, and it's like himbos don't actually know that they're himbos. I wanted to actually also kind of tie into like this himbo bimbo culture and like what your take on that is, because your whole brand is like kind of embracing that femininity and like what people see as like being a quote unquote bimbo. Like, what's your take on that?
Well, first of all, I'm going to play devil's advocate because y'all have been missing a man in this conversation. But I think we're in a cuntification renaissance of straight men right now. And I am here for it. So yes, the fingernails, the dangling earrings, the gel
Crop tops.
ever, that like back in the 2000s was seen as metrosexual, which was essentially shaming men for taking care of their appearance. Like people were literally saying, take care of your appearance, you must be gay or like whatever. But I'm appreciative that it's coming back because I will not stand to see another fade and a North Face jacket and skinny jeans in the club ever again. I would rather get manipulated than see that outfit.
That is some hard tea. So you're gonna real. So if Harry Styles comes up and says, "Oi, governor, I think you're fancy," you would just drop your panties right there.
I would fold. I would fold because if a straight man who looks like he cares about his appearance, I don't care what you look like. If I see you putting in the same effort that I put in to look good, I'm gonna
effort. Okay, that's exactly what I mean. Okay, we were talking about this
also,
before.
Harry Styles is bisexual. Just really quick note before we get reamed by our followers, Kevin.
Oh,
and someone makes a tweet about how we were erasing a queer identity. Just quickly, I have to
get reamed. Love
I know.
Get reamed.
I don't have to think globally. I can see it.
No, you're right. So I mean, okay, my hot take is kind of the exact opposite of yours. It's connected, but not really.
Yeah.
If we're talking directly about like Harry Styles and his bi-ness and his queerness, there's things that I think are invalid, and those things are at the cross section of ugly and lazy. Right? So it's like, also, this is just my opinion. If it's like, it does not change how the world works. It is just how I feel about things. It does not matter. But Harry Styles, to me, I'm like, I don't think this is valid because it is ugly and lazy to me. So whenever he puts on one of his shiny outfits, I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And that's, again, it's not his responsibility to convince me of his sexuality. No one cares. But
exactly.
When straight men put on these outfits, I need more than just the costume. I need a little bit more authenticity because sometimes it does come off ugly and lazy. And I'm like, all right, go off, sister. Have fun.
Not to be a suburban mom that defends Harry Styles. I don't think Harry Styles is ugly or lazy. I don't think that. He did wave, again, this is going to sound very suburban mom. He did wave a bisexual flag at a concert once or twice, a few times.
Okay.
And...
Cheers.
Yeah.
He's got that flag going for him. Good for him.
He's fun. Okay, I want to know your take, Nikita, on this himbo bimbo dichotomy.
I think bimbo culture is like subversive because we as women are always like looking out for ourselves or on guard or having to kind of study men's mannerisms and culture to kind of, because oh, what is that quote about how, like, I think you said it before about how minorities always have to like study the culture that's above them because they need to know like
Yeah.
how to survive in the world, and
Mhm.
whereas they don't do
Yeah.
that to us. So like, for example, if I'm like going out with men, like going on dates with men, and I'm just like super unapologetically feminine and wearing pink
Mm.
and bright makeup and like talking about how Teenage Dream by Katy Perry is the greatest song ever made, they're like, well, have you even heard Stairway to Heaven? Like, yes, I have heard
Ew.
and it's fine. So I think there is like kind of this rebelliousness of being so unapologetically feminine and maybe even dumb, because it's like it's a chosen dumbness. You know, I can choose to be stressed out about the world all the time, or I can choose to just be little lobotomized baby. And I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's different than himbo, because himbos kind of get to be dumb. Like, you don't, you know,
Yeah.
it's not really like shocking culturally that, you know, you don't know things, whereas like we have to know things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really comes down to like when men claim they're a nice guy,
Mhm.
it's like you don't get to claim that. You don't get to just tell me you're nice because history shows that you're probably not. So show me you're a nice guy,
Yeah.
and through showing me, we will decide if you're a golden retriever or not. We'll decide if you're a
Yeah.
fucking dog.
That's not for you to say, that's for me to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If I
exactly.
Well, and also the whole thing that you described where it's like, yeah, like if I want to embrace the quote unquote bimbo identity, it's subversive. It's like it's almost like meta commentary, whereas when men are himbos, they're literally just stupid. Like
Yeah.
it's just they're dumb. There's no layer to it. They're just stupid.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it makes
Yeah.
me wonder if I want to date a himbo. Sometimes I'm like, I want to date a himbo, but I'm like, do I? They're kind of dumb. But also I wish I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. Anyways, I'm curious, Nikita, about your experiences dating. Like, I know we talked a little bit about like how you embrace like hyper femininity and stuff. Like, is that ever intimidating to like men that you're on dates with?
No, totally. It is intimidating because I think that they're not used to that. I think that a lot of straight women and a lot of even bi women maybe will kind of tone down their personality in order to match what the man likes and in order to match his interests, even to the point of like code switching, like making your voice a little less higher, a little less valley girl. But it's like kind of what Kevin said before about like women needing to know the male perspective to like survive in a society. We kind of have to do, like, if I pull up to a date with a straight man looking like Chappell Roan, it's very unlikely that he's going to be attracted to that. Whereas if I like pull up with natural makeup, whatever that means. So that's just like one example, right? There is a little bit of like not just intimidation from straight men, but an outright disinterest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
some are
That's very fair.
intrigued and like, oh, you're not like the other girls' way, and I'm like, I am like other girls, but other girls are trying to be like you.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, you know, but that's changing a lot. I think that a lot
Yeah.
of women, especially like since 2023 and Barbie and Taylor Swift. So I think like there is definitely like a shift of like embracing our interests. But yeah, I think when it comes to men, they're a little bit like, why? Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kevin, I also want to know your take on this. For me, I hate this about apps because I'll talk to someone, we'll meet up. It takes me about 30 seconds to know whether or not I want to be on this date.
So true.
One hundo.
So true.
One hundo.
Yeah.
I have never been on a date with someone I'm like, I don't know. Like, if I am with someone, I can envision living with them. Like, I can envision the entire relationship. And whether or not it pans out, that's fine. But, like, I have never involved myself with someone I'm like, I don't know, they might be a bad person. Like, there's
like
never...
you can gauge. Yeah, continue.
Gay?
Shut up. Stop it. Well, it's not even bad person. They can be a good person, but be so boring.
Yeah,
like 100%.
They can be attractive. You show up and they start talking, and you're like, "Oh, I need to go home. Like, I'm bored. I can't do small talk. Like, you're deeply boring, and I'm not turned on anymore."
I'm also not looking for dates, though. I'm looking for relationships in terms of like friends or things to do with people, like social acquaintances. I don't necessarily look at life kind of like, who can I be with? It's more of like, who will make my life better if I surround myself with them? Like, who can teach me something? Who
how do
can
you
I learn
find that from an app?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't. Exactly.
You pray to Jesus Christ, and then you hope.
But
yeah,
okay,
I don't meet a lot
feeling...
of people, Nikita. I don't go outside that often.
He doesn't. But The best is the opposite though. When you meet them for the first, and then the first 20 seconds, you're like, oh, we super vibe. Literally, like I'll be talking. That moment happens in the first 20 seconds. I feel my legs twitch and just open. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, woo! Ah! It's great. But again, the opposite is what usually ends up happening because people are boring.
People are so boring.
I think, Nikita, also, I think a lot of people assume that all queer men are fun and interesting. No, most of
I'm
them are
not.
deeply boring.
Yeah, that's right. I lay on the
Most of them are
couch.
deeply boring. Kevin, no, you're fun to talk to, though. You're fun to talk to. These men are boring to talk to. Kevin, don't be self-deprecating unless I'm insulting you. I hold the power here. I'm the dom top. Ew.
See how he unravels the moment I just like furrow my brow?
There's nothing more not dom top than
Okay, maybe I'm not a dom top. While I am not a dom top, I have found a thread of people online trying to find my nudes saying they would want me to dominate them, and I've gone through the whole thing, and all of the stuff they've assumed about my sex life and what I would do to them are completely wrong. And I'm like, I'm not kinky. I just want to hold your hand and be like, want to live with me forever? You can adopt 2 kids. You know?
See, this is the thing. We talk about like, you know, what you're looking for on an app, but again, it focuses on perspective because it's like if I'm over here looking for just convenient situations for people to come in and out of my life where I'm like, you're so great, you can teach me something, I like this a lot. That's so much that's so different compared to your whomst here is going to open my legs apart.
it's like opening that book and the bookshelf in the secret corridor opens. That's all. Imagine top.
Yeah.
Just because I use whomst.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if I'm using these words right, but I like to throw them around. It's more for the audience, right? It's like a little curve, making sure people are paying attention. You know, if someone's paying attention, I say a word wrong, then you know that's exciting for them. They can comment below and say, "Oh, I caught it." It's a scavenger hunt of language. It's not me being wrong. It's not me. It's not me just saying things. No, it's a purposeful tactic.
Kevin, when I first met him, says that he uses words wrong all the time, and I thought he was joking. He uses words wrong all the time, just like regularly, and I'll call him out and he'll be like, oh yeah, probably. It's probably wrong. Or like, for example, when he said Karma Sutra.
I thought there was an R in there.
No, Karma is different than Kama Sutra. Anyways.
So that is like the essence of bimbo culture is but saying it fully with your full chest. I think I really admire that and I'm kind of jealous.
My favorite himbo thing, or like signaling stupidity by mistake thing before we wrap up, is when people type I should have done this as should of. It makes me laugh each time. Oh, it's my favorite. I'm like, oh, you're American. Or like, you failed grade 2. It's just, and it's not even American though. I'm just saying that. It's so many people that I know and I'm like, oh my God, I love you. You're so interesting. Like, should of, like, why does that make sense to you? Now, Nikita, before we wrap it up, I want to leave on a utility-based note. So we're talking about dating apps. Now connection is difficult. Mm-hmm. You said that it's hard, that it's easy for you to talk to men. What tip could you give the audience, including me, that would help them feel less scared approaching men that they're interested in dating?
Okay, so I guess I just like don't care about men's opinions, so I'm like very confident when it comes to them, and I don't care what they have to think about me. So I had a really good friend tell me this, that you kind of take that mindset, and like this I'm talking from me, but like you take that mindset and that confidence and that bravado that I have with approaching people I don't care about and be delusional and use that to approach people I do care about and do care about like what they think. I know it's hard, but it's like, it always comes down.
I love it.
Make it, but Taha, like I don't know, like imagine the person that you think is so hot and so mysterious. You said you've been on dates with so many boring men. So just imagine that this hot, mysterious guy is going to be exactly like that. And you're going to be the most interesting person in that conversation. Like, that's the reality. The reality is that a lot of men are really boring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm excited now. I'm going to do it.
I love how Taha's like the least mysterious man on the planet. I mean, when he's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be mysterious.
I had this gym crush for a long time, and I was so sure he was gay, and he would come with his girl bestie, and he had this gay little walk, and then I saw him and the girl kissing, and I was like, "Fuck."
Taha, what's your go-to to act mysterious? What do you put on? What do you act like?
I mew a little.
You whomst? So, and then you approach and say,
I would never approach anyone. Why is
there's
that a
that
question?
confidence, baby. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Confident, mysterious.
Well, no. Anyways, I will work on. Okay, that's actually really helpful
That's
advice. Kevin doesn't
fantastic
need this
advice.
advice because he doesn't meet people. He doesn't go outside. He went. I've
Yeah.
said this before. Nikita. He went to a club. He went clubbing in a sweater.
It was cold.
I know. It's we've talked, Kevin. It's Los Angeles you live in. You said there are lots of windows, and you went clubbing in a sweater. And you know what? You should never shame anyone for what they wear. It's their choice. But I think that Kevin clubbing in a sweater is ugly and lazy.
Fair enough.
So it's not valid. I'm using your metric. And on
And
that
that's your
note,
opinion, baby.
You're
that's my opinion. Okay,
ugly and lazy.
that's Kevin's metric. And we're gonna that's my red flag for this conversation. My red flag
That was your red flag last week. That's not fair. Me wearing sweaters.
No. My red flag this week is it's something I don't like, but I'm going to embrace not backtracking on my opinions the way Kevin embraces calling things invalid, even though he knows things are technically always valid. My red flag is embracing this toxic part of myself. What's your red flag for this episode, Kevin?
Your red flag is embracing toxicity.
Yeah,
That's
that
my
you
green
taught
flag.
me.
Embracing toxicity is my green flag, baby. That's what this entire personality is based off of just like being just mean enough to where people are like, is he joking? And then being nice enough after where people are like, I think he was joking. And then we just move on and don't
Yeah.
talk about it.
Well, I'm glad I'm accustomed to you now because the first few months were a lot of ricocheting. Well, give me your red flag, Kevin, so we can go in order.
Okay, so that was my green flag. My red flag would be you believing you're a dom top. I hear that and I go, whoa, alarm bells are going off
yeah?
in my mind.
Well, I was doing the deed once, and this guy was like, choke me, and I was like, I'm not into that. And he's like, please just do it, and I did it, and I was really uncomfortable, but I did it. I was literally like, oh, and he's like, harder. I was like,
I did that. Someone once requested me to slap them, and I swear to God, it was like I'm incredibly nervous about that. So I went in to slap, and it was like just like if there's their face, it was like it just like rubbed against them. Just because I was like, I don't want to miss. I don't want to do anything wrong. I'm already like distracted with a lot of things. I just like rubbed their face.
Okay, I was a good slapper once. Before we get to your red flag, Nikita, this is a good story. This
Yeah,
guy
you're coming next.
did-
We're talking.
No, I just wanted to tell Nikita this story so you'd be proud of me as well, and also the audience. But this guy pissed me the fuck off. We did not discuss any sort of physical hitting at all. He slaps me while we're having sex, and I was like, I'm not into that. And he's like, oh, but I am. Like, can you slap me? And normally I'd be like, I'm not into that. But I remembered him slapping me, and I was like, yeah, just slap him. And it was so cathartic. I'm like, this dumb piece of shit put his fucking hands on me. And he was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, you fucking idiot. This isn't hot for me. I'm just very satisfied. It was so satisfying slapping his dumb little face. Oh my God, he pissed me off. Sorry. I had to really get that out. He hit me.
I'm so sorry. Ever just you being like, I'm a dom top. He hit me in your best Miss Piggy impression. I can't with you right now.
Hey,
Sorry.
we look like Miss Piggy in our pink. Nikita, what's your red flag from this episode?
I feel like I've learned so many red flags from you guys.
That's about right. That's about right.
This is the most Nikita has interacted with a man in ages.
I'm so
many
sorry.
men.
Yeah.
I was more accepting before this podcast. Okay.
I'm doing my part.
So first of all, just one red flag I thought of right now. My red flag is when someone prefaces a story with, "This is going to be a good story." Let me decide that. That's for me to decide.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
My green flag from today's episode is Nikita saying she comes in clit swinging today. Kevin, what's your green flag?
My actual green flag. Honestly, meeting you, Nikita, you are one of the lights of my life. Like,
Aww.
it's so good to have you here. It's so good at, like, just watching the videos that you make, my life becomes instantly better, and I think you're fantastic. Today was such a dream come true for me.
This was
Kevin respects so few people, Nikita, so I cannot emphasize how much, like, he's not joking. Like, the reverence with which he talks about you is, I'm like, can I get, like, a % of that, please? Like, even if you fake it, it's amazing.
You can get some
It's
respect from me
amazing.
when you actually decide to be mysterious.
Okay, well, I'll try. Nikita, what's your green flag?
Oh, my green flag is the lazy ugly continuum, because now I'm gonna be more picky. That was a really good thing to learn.
Yes,
yeah.
it's good to categorize
Pick
people.
one.
Remember that. Remember, it's good to put people in boxes so that you can be more judgmental. Yes.
So, before we finish up, Nikita, our last segment on our podcast is really cute. It is, we get Kevin's dog Tango, Tungus, and Tango will read our hate comment of the week.
Tangus.
Because Tango reads and he reads all the comments. And
Yeah,
he's such a
Tango
cutie
vets
and
all of
he's
our
so-
comments. Yeah, so it's he picks out the worst one, looks at me with real sad eyes. Come here, bitch. And he will let us know who's the least deserving of passion and love. Yeah, what
Okay,
did Tango pick out?
Someone commented. Tango picked out this one from our TikTok. Tango DM'd me this. Someone typed. Someone commented, "Why is this a podcast? You guys have no chemistry." These are the questions I ask myself every night too. So maybe he has a point.
Why do anything really? Life is a
Yeah.
black hole of meaningless nothing.
Why are two gay men on a podcast and not fucking? Like, why are you guys?
Yeah. Oh my god, literally the amount of comments, even when we had like a guest, we had Orville Peck come on, all the comments like, oh, I bet all three of them had sex after, or like some of them are like, oh, Taha and Kevin are gonna kiss, aren't they? And I'm like, no, but I'm gonna punch him.
Yeah. Yeah, the real question is, why have neither of us swung our clits yet? That's really the case.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But anyways, Nikita, we're so happy to have had you here. I'm so glad that I get to call you a friend. This was literally so fun. I love you. Thank you so much for doing this.
I love you.
Seriously.
So much fun.
My best. Okay, I will be in touch. I'll also see you soon, I'm sure.
Yes.
And thank you again. And guys, Nikita, where can we follow you on socials? What's your
It's
your
at
handle?
Nikita Dumbtruck on all socials.
Perfect.
Cheers.
At Nikita Dumbtruck
Follow me
on
on all of
socials.
them, even if you don't want to. It's the
Follow
same stuff.
Hell
you guys.
yeah.
Nikita's content will change your life. Please, I
It
told
really
you.
will, if you
We've been
haven't.
following her since before she knew who we were. So thank you, Nikita.
Thank
and
you.
yeah, guys, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. It means the world when you subscribe or like or comment or follow or share, because it helps a lot with the algo. We are so grateful for all the positive feedback. I know it's been really hard leaving nice comments because of Kevin's demeanor and his words and his behavior, his general everything, the way he conducts himself, the way he shrugs his shoulders, his dismissive eyes that are initially very pretty, but then you realize they're very hollow because he's just a mean person. And his nails, and his painted nails, his perfectly manicures. Yeah, his manipulation painted nails. That yesterday when I talked to him on our phone call when we hung out, I said, Kevin, how are your nails so beautifully perfect? He goes, oh, I just filed them, you dumb bitch. Yeah, thank you for watching.
He says, how are your nails so manicured? I manicure them. I file my.
I was
take care of them.
complimenting you. It was supposed to be a comment. Like,
It was gonna be a compliment.
It's
Don't ask me a question. All right, we'll argue about this later.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Have a wonderful day. Mwah.
Bye, guys.